We're joined by Bob Holmes as he discusses one of his recent projects and what he looks for when he's out on a shoot.
I think the first thing is that there are no secrets.
Yeah.
Geographic stories are about storytelling. They're stories. They're not single standalone photographs. They're stories, and it's all about content. You have to have strong content because you have to tell that story. It's the ultimate documentary photography.
Yes.
So really, that's all there is to it. Everything else that comes into a geographic shoot is things I talk about all the time, like awareness of light, looking for details and gesture, being aware of the edges of the frame. It's basic photography, but over and above everything, it's all about content. If there's no content, it's not going to work. So
It's definitely a COVID harvest, isn't it? Everybody's wearing masks and they're pouring into.
That's part of the story, Mark.
It is.
I haven't worked for Geographic for a long, long time, and in those days we used to have the luxury of time to do a shoot.
Right.
First shoot I did was 4 months. Now you're lucky to get 4 hours.
Isn't that crazy?
It's changed absolutely dramatically. This series that I'm going to show, I'm just going to show one series of photographs.
Yeah.
One client over one morning. And it's for a client whose vineyard is called Open Claim Vineyards. And it is important to get OCV that you see on the side of the bins. That's a little detail I was always conscious of, because the client will use these websites, a lot of social media uses. Beyond that, I wanted to show the grapes actually going into the bin. The timing was critical. I wanted good placement of the people. You can see them wearing face masks to show that they were being careful over COVID. It's a very timely photograph.
It really is.
Early morning, and it was foggy. You see the sun, the sunrise hitting the trees in the background.
Yeah.
I love the stacking of these bins with OCV on each one.
Right.
And I waited until someone was coming out of the vines with buckets full of grapes, and someone dumping a bucket full of grapes in one of the bins. And I like the composition as well.
That's your decisive moment, isn't it, Bob? Because you really did get, just at that moment, both of those people in the right position.
Yeah, and that's important. You have to look for that.
Yeah.
It's not haphazard. You look for it. And it has a lot of content, but it's also got good form as well.
Yes.
So it covers, and I think that's one of the secrets of a geographic photograph. A lot of the photographs have lots of content, but they're also a decent standalone photographs.
Right.
This, I just loved all the buckets.
Yes.
The almost abstract effect of the buckets between the vines. And it says a lot about harvest and the ant-like activity of harvest workers in the vineyard. And I also love backlight.
Yeah.
It's my favorite kind of light. What I really love doing is using wide lenses. And with COVID, that's difficult because it means getting in close.
True.
But by using this anchor of a tub full of Pinot Noir grapes and the pickers in the background, it sort of it adds to the feeling of actually being in the vineyard. This wasn't set up. They usually collect 2 buckets full before they take them back to the bins. They're paid by the bucket.
I know.
And you can see the 2 people picking here. And by getting down low, I not only emphasize the grapes, but I'm able to look under the vines and see the people picking. And this is another shot from a low angle. And I wanted her face, I wanted the mask for COVID, I wanted to see the grapes, and I wanted to see her actually holding a bunch of grapes and clipping it.
Right.
So I got down low behind the vines and shot through. And the color. I also look for color. Color's important. Some of the pickers were wearing very drab clothes. So I was looking for people that were wearing colorful clothes. So they contrasted with the leaves that were turning.
What do you think the focal length on that was, Bob?
Probably about 20 millimeter.
Okay, so that's pretty wide.
It's pretty wide, yeah.
Yeah. But perfectly framed in between the leaves. That was a great shot. Aha.
And another shot without a face.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't wearing a mask, I don't remember. But I like abstracting people sometimes. I love sun flares, as you know.
Yes.
So I stopped down to F-22 and got this sunburst coming through the grape leaves. And his hand's actually clipping a bunch of grapes to go into his bucket.
Let's talk about this for a second, because I know you brought it up in one of the previous shows that you often will take the person's face out or head out or whatever. And, I think that maybe breaks a sort of a common misconception that you should only have, the full person in or whatever. Tell us your philosophy about that.
Save getting a model release.
Yeah, there you go. That's one way of.
That's all there is to it, Mark.
That's the bottom line. No model release.
No, because
Could be anybody.
I'm often not taking photographs about personalities. I'm taking photographs about a moment in time that's part of a bigger picture. So it's not about a person. It's about what they're doing. And by cutting the face out, it can emphasize that. As I say, I love backlit shots. I like shooting early in the day and late in the day. The sun was just coming over the trees. If you go on to the next one, Jared,
Oh, look at that.
They're almost identical, but the light comes better through the grapes.
Yes, that's incredible.
I rarely shoot a single shot of anything. I don't use fast, whatever you call it, multiple drive, motor drive, whatever. I'm always
burst.
I want to release the shutter when I think it should be released.
But you're right, Bob. The sun coming through the grapes, that really makes it pop, and that adds a whole.
It makes all the difference to me.
Yeah.
There's little details. See, everyone is in the same position, but it's those little details that make the better shot, and you have to be aware of that. You have to be absolutely anal about details in photographs. Don't be satisfied with the first shot you get, because often you can get better. This is a shot I particularly like because of gesture. It's all about, it shows what's happening, it shows the bins being filled. I like the position of the worker in the back with her arms out, and the tractor taking a bin off back to the winery for processing the fruit. And the sunburst, of course.
So well orchestrated. And I love the orange of the tractor, it's just contrasted.
The OCV on 3 of the bins.
There it is.
Immediately labels it as open claim vineyards.
Yeah.
Of course, the client loves, because that's what they're selling.
Perfectly orchestrated. That's awesome. The drone.
That a lot of us have in our arsenal now is a drone. Drones are so inexpensive and light and easy to carry. So, when I'd done most of the ground shooting, I threw a drone up in the air. And again, I love long shadows. I took this. I like the shadows and what's happening. But then I shot it like this, which is more dynamic. As soon as the vines are on a diagonal plane, it makes it more lively. The first one was static. This is a much more dynamic shot.
Yes.
2 tractors in this, so it's the same principle. And then I go higher, and then go higher still, and shoot all vineyards.
Such a great tool to have a drone, and using it for stills especially is.
I love shots like this as well. There's just that real the punctuation, which is another thing I talk about a lot. The punctuation of the tractor with the bin of grapes going across. And then I think probably the last shot of mine is a shot showing, and this is more of a geographic type of shot because it shows the landscape. The previous shot showed the vineyards, but it gave you no idea of the landscape around the vineyards. This last shot, I went higher and showed the countryside of Central Oregon around the vineyards.
We hope that you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give it a like and leave a comment. We love to hear from you. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you can know when all of our future videos come out. And finally, be sure to get out there and capture your own images of life.